Thanks for joining me at the Grumpy Old Guy Wood Carving Studio. In this video, we're going to finish up the apron, the t-shirt, the drawstrings, and we're going to drill out the hole a little bit bigger so we can fit the shoestring through that'll hold his head in place. Then we're going to start working on his arms. My name is Harry. Let's get started. Alright, now that I've got the neck finished, I'll have to drill this out further when I find out what size string I'm going to have coming up through it. I've started working on the apron, bringing out the apron and the tie strings in the back. Right now I'm just getting a feel for it by just kind of giving it some relief. They're going to be taken down quite a bit further so that they don't break off easily, but they're not very wide straps anyway, so they don't need to stick way out in the middle of nowhere. And after I finish that part, I'll be back. Right now I'm just using my small V tool to bring out the straps on the apron, and I'll use either a flat chisel and or my pocket knife to lower this wood at the edge of the apron strings to make it look like it's going in underneath the apron strings. We got the apron, got started on the apron strings. I got sidetracked. I'm sanding the bottom and this part of this joint. I'm not going to sand his body. I like to leave the knife cuts. The apron is done. The apron strings are done. I sanded the bottom of this just to smooth it out a little bit. This is all going to get painted black because I don't want this to be as visible. The legs to be attaching to the outside. I want them to see the legs more than this center part. Let's move on to the arms. I've had this idea of making marionettes for a couple of years now, but I just recently started into it. The thing that held me back was that I couldn't find any plans, no instructions. I did find one video that I've been kind of following along with, and he's based on that video. But I've recently started gathering information from here and there and found a couple of books online that talk about some of the things that I was having problems with, like joints, how to attach certain body parts to other body parts. And the one thing that I've found in common with all of these sources of information is there is no one way of doing it. It's up to the ingenuity of the person that's making the doll. So in that respect, well, before I get started here, the arms from my first horse had a shoestring. You drill a hole in the arm and the shoulder, and you insert a shoestring between the two. Well, that gives it lots of freedom, but I didn't really like that idea. So I found a couple of other suggestions that might work just as well or better. Another thing he was doing was he'd separated the upper and the lower arm, and then he used a piece of leather between the two as the hinge point. And I didn't really care for that idea either, so I'm going to craft a socket, or not a socket, but a groove, tongue and groove, I think it is, tongue and groove, with a dowel running through the center as the pivot point. And I'm going to try something different up here with maybe using a small screw, eyelet screw, and piece of hooked wire, curved wire into an eye. and attach the two that way. And still, if I make them big enough, then he'll still have plenty of movement in the arm, both this way and outward. So let's give it a shot. I still have to finish cutting out the arm and then narrowing it down, but I've been sitting here trying to figure out a way to attach the arms to the shoulders. I was thinking about using a screw like on the hip joint. The only problem with that is then I've only got motion in this direction instead of a fully articulated arm and shoulder socket. Another thing I was thinking about doing was using a very small eyelet screw and one in here, but then I won't have complete movement of the arm. At some point it'll stop moving because I don't know how to explain it, but if you put two eyelets together, then you've only got so much movement. You don't have complete movement. So I guess the only thing left to do is do it just like the guy who I saw. So I guess the only thing left to do is to use the shoestring. Drill a hole, force the shoestring into here, drill another hole, force the shoestring into there, but I don't know how I'm going to do that. I guess I can use a toothpick or something to push it in so that I don't have to go like this with my fingers and then have a huge long lead. I just need a little bit. That's what I guess we're going to do. We're going to go with the shoestring. Upper arm, lower arm. Originally I was just going to use a piece of leather glued to the front here to work as a hinge, but I don't really like that idea. I decided to go with the tongue and groove. I don't know if tongue and groove is correct. That's all I can think to call it. So like on the legs, the knee joint, I'll cut a slot in here. I don't need to go all the way back because I want there to be a stop so that his arm doesn't bend backwards. I can always use a piece of wire or something, I guess. But I think this is going to work. If not, it'll be an interesting experiment. Starting to carve out the groove for the tongue. Yep, tongue shaped. Come on, focus. That'll fit in that slot. And then a pin back here. Hopefully I can leave enough back here to create a stop so that the elbow doesn't hyperextend to the rear. It just comes to the front. I got the groove cut out and went ahead and drilled a hole just to test it out. It looks pretty good. I like it. And I just have to clean up the joint a little bit so that it moves a lot easier. I think we'll go. Now I just have to trim it down and shape it. I think I'll work on the other tongue and groove first. Hey, this is so cool. I love doing this kind of thing. Figuring it out as you go. No plans, no drawings, nothing. Just doing it on your own. So arms are ready now to start shaping. Before I get started on shaping the arms, I want to bore out this hole a little bit, make it larger so we can fit our shoestring in. Shoestring will come up through here and it'll be stuffed into a hole in the top of his head, and then the bottom of the string will sit down and I'll tie a knot in it and stick it down in this hole. I might have to bore it deeper to accommodate the knot. But that's what's going to give his head the rotation. It'll keep it down on his neck, and it'll allow it to move back and forth when they're pulling the strings. I used a 9/64 drill bit, and I think that worked out just perfect. Now we can tie a knot in the bottom of this. And then this upper part, I think I'll go this direction, and I can stick this into a hole in the top of his head and glue it in there. Yes, that will work. That will work great. All right, I'm not going to cut this yet because I don't know how much I'm going to need. Obviously, I'm not going to need all that much. It just needs to stick into a hole in the top of his head. Where'd his head go? I lost his head. Running around without a head here. Oh, is that it? Yeah, there it is. Keep moving stuff around so I can do something else. Yeah, that'll fit up in there a little further. Yep. So I can drill that hole and glue the end of the shoestring into the hole in his head. And then after that dries, then I can tighten this up a little bit and tie that knot. Instead of drilling deeper into his head because he's getting close to the top of his hat, I want to be able to take off some more of his hat. So I don't want that hole to poke through. So I'm going to fill this hole with a plastic epoxy wood filler. Let that dry, then I'll drill the hole and glue it in. So that probably won't happen until tomorrow after it completely dries. I use a product called Quickwood. I'm not sponsored or anything, I just like to use it. And in their current instructions, they say wear a glove when mixing it. Well, years ago when I bought this stuff, they didn't care about my hands or me absorbing chemicals, but hey, just to be on the safe side. So this stuff is a 2-part epoxy. You just cut off a slice, mix it all together till it's one color. Knife to cut it. I'll probably just cut off about a 1/4 of an inch. It's probably more than I'm going to need, but hey, I can buy more, right? So just got to mix it all up. Just play with it for a while till it turns one solid color. Kind of a light brownish tan colored, I don't know, gray maybe. Should have put on 2 gloves. Oh man, this is a good exercise for the fingers. All right. All I gotta do is just stuff it in the hole and let it dry. Make it all narrower here. Just keep stuffing it in there. Keep pushing on it, it should fill up the cavity. This stuff is pretty good for if you accidentally cut off his nose or something. And you just, I like to cut the head off of a small nail, a finishing nail or something, stick it in there and give the putty something to hang on to. And then you shape him a new nose, get it down to almost final dimensions, let this stuff dry, and then it's carvable. It's, if you're going to be painting, then nobody's ever going to know. I think that's about all I'm going to get in there now. So hopefully. Alright, so I want to clean this out, take off some of this excess, and I want the bowl shape that I carved into the top of his head. I don't want to have to recarve that. So let's take off a little bit more of this. And shape the bowl. Might have to do some sanding on that to make it a little deeper. Yeah, I think that's going to work. So yeah, after this dries, then I'll shape that bowl a little bit more with some sandpaper. That way his head will have something to move on the neck. Alright. That works for me. Just gonna let that dry now. Smooth that out a little bit over here. And tomorrow like I said, I'll sand that bowl smooth, and then I'll drill the hole for the shoelace. Stick it in there with some glue, and there you go. Actually, you know what? I really need to finish the head before I stick that shoelace in there. I'm getting ahead of myself, so that'll be, get the arms shaped. Oh, I forgot the hands. I still have to shape the hands too, so. But we'll save the hands for later on. I really want to put this part on the neck and see what it looks like. We've come a fair piece while working on this mini-me marionette, but we've still got a ways to go. Thanks again for dropping into the Grumpy Old Guy Wood Carving Studio. Now get off my lawn.